You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. Disney.
Well, there you all are, and how glad I am to see so many people coming into the Six Screens tonight. Well, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the Apostate, capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And what a pleasure it is. What a pleasure it is to keep doing this program. It's the highlight of my week. Friends, I have to tell you, we are having a good time here at the Six Screens, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better as we move forward. Next week, we're going to be in a brand new studio. I got 2 new studios coming up. Yeah, it will be next Saturday night. We'll be in our new studio right here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And then in about another month, we're going to start another program here on Six Screens. This, of course, that I do here, JW World News. It's all about the Jehovah's Witnesses and basically how people have been touched by the tentacles. And we're going to have a JW World News very quick program also coming up. We're going to try to keep you right up to date on the current affairs that are going on in the Watchtower. I'm going to do that from my studio in Lowell, Massachusetts, and it'll be no longer than 5 minutes. So, a lot of people, they can't listen in for 2.5, 3, 4 hours. So I'm going to do a very short newscast, 5 minutes. We won't be taking calls, but we'll still keep this program going on Saturday night. But you'll see me come on with this 5-minute news brief about what's going on in the world of the Watchtower. Well, anyways, things are really happening, friends. I do want to mention the convention. I think it's very important I mention that. It is gaining a lot of traction. Have you tried it out? Have you checked it out? ChatGPT, Copilot, all of these new AI platforms are picking up on the convention. I haven't even started advertising it yet, but it's all over these AI platforms. And the reason is it's historic. This is going to be an historic event where we're going to have ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, could be as many as 500 plus even, that are going to come in August. That's 3 months away. And it's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. It's called Stay Alive. That's the theme. Stay alive in 2025. So try to make it if you can. And I'm going to tell you something. You all could be movie stars if you make it. Well, you're saying, what do you mean, Rick, by that? I was on the phone this week with a man from Spain. I'll tell you what. They are doing a movie. I mentioned it briefly last week. They're doing a documentary all about Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's going to have a worldwide platform, I guess you could call it. It's going to be a worldwide film. Evidently, it's going to be done in a number of languages, so people around the world will really get a real bird's eye view of Jehovah's Witnesses. So the good thing is, I got a hold of a man. His name was Edmund. I got a hold of him. He worked for this movie company in Spain, and it's no rinky-dink, studio. It's a pretty large studio like you'd have here in America. A number of people work there. And I was first notified 2 weeks ago by a woman named Laura, and she wrote to me an email and said she wanted to interview me, and she wanted to learn more about the Six Screens and what we do here. So I contacted her, and she put me in contact with this man, Edmund. And Edmund is one of the main people with this movie company. And so they're going to come to a filming company. They film video footage. So they're going to come here to the convention in August 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And they're bringing 2 very high-profile apostates from Spain. Now, every country has apostates, right? Every country does. And not only here in America, but Italy, Spain, Croatia, you name it. But I'm so glad that they're so interested in our convention. So anyways, I have to bring Barbara Anderson into all of this. They love Barbara Anderson. And what they're going to do, they're going to make this like a story. It's not just going to be like, well, there's Jehovah's Witnesses and they've been formed by Charles Taze Russell. It's not going to be like that type of a documentary. This is going to be a documentary about people who have left the Watchtower and how their lives have been affected in the Watchtower. And they want to interview people at the convention. When they heard about our convention, they said, wow, that is ground zero. That is a great place to be to interview witnesses. So how this is all going to work out, they're going to make like a story out of this. So anyways, what they're going to do, they're flying from Spain. They're already booking their hotels at the Hilton. Got a number of people coming in the film crew. They're bringing, like I say, apostates from Spain as well. And one of the apostates is a comedian, actually a professional comedian, and she speaks English. And on Saturday night at our convention, Still Alive in 2025, we're going to have a talent show as well. We're going to have awards for YouTube and Facebook. We're going to have awards for books that have been written. We're going to have awards for websites. And we're also going to have a talent show. So this woman, she's a woman from Spain. She's a professional comedian. And she's going to come here to America to the convention and do a comedy stunt. So that's a stint. So that should be really, really good. We're looking forward to that. But that's not all. What they want to do, and they asked me if I could say this, if there's anybody that's coming to the convention that really would like to share their story on a worldwide documentary film, this would be the place to do it. So if you guys can make it, come to Boston in August. You will not be disappointed. We are going to have a wonderful time. It's a 3-day convention. And how it's going to work is this. On Thursday, it's Thursday, August 1st, we're going to have a meet and greet session. So everyone who comes will have an opportunity to speak 5 or 10 minutes the most on why they came to the convention and how they've been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So that's going to be interesting to hear what they have to say. And we'll have, after lunch, we'll go into more of that. We have some speakers coming on Friday night as well. And then Saturday night, we have Barbara Anderson is going to be here in person. We got Fritz Springmeier, who wrote the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. He'll be here with us as well. We got a number of elders. I was also in contact this week with a law firm out of Florida. They called me. I didn't know who it was. They're very interested in the convention. Word is really spreading. So this law firm called me. I talked to the man, the lawyer, and he said he'd like to come up to the convention, him and his wife. And what they do is they specialize, like the Zalkin law firm, they specialize in sexual abuse problems. So, hey, we're going to help a lot of people. We're going to help a lot of people. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. So if you can do it, come up here. The tickets are free. The tickets are free. Write me at JW World News. I'll send you the tickets. You'll have to pay your own way getting here. Also, if there's anybody out there that can't make it or can make it and wants a roommate to be able to share the expense, let me know that. Again, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I can give you people that might want to share a room with you and save on your expenses. Now, to give you an honest evaluation, it's the Hilton Hotel. Hilton hotels are generally a little pricey. In the summertime up here in Boston, because it's a resort area, a lot of people come here, a room at the Hilton normally would be $250 a night. But if you use the code FEARON, FEARON, that's my last name. If you use that code FEARON, you'll get a big discount. You'll pay $175. And I'm trying to work out a deal for breakfast. That's what they originally told me. They're going to give us a nice sit-down breakfast. I mean, not a cup of pudding or a Sara Lee Danish. We're going to have a nice breakfast, and hopefully that's all going to come to fruition. So if you can make it, once again, try to be here. You will not be disappointed. Still alive in 2025. Thank you. Okay, so we got through that. Now, I want to say we're going to play the duck game tonight. We sent out $100 to Nadine. She won $100 here a couple of weeks ago, so we'll see if she's back on tonight. She's our champion in the duck game. We got books to give away. I got magnets to give away. I got gift certificates to give away. I'd love to have you call in and play the game. That will be at the end of the program tonight. So, yeah, join us for that. You'll find it very fascinating. We have some beautiful books here. All Watchtower publications. Our good friend Nathan Natus. Well, his name is Jim Hill, but he goes by Nathan Natus on JWN discussion board. And he's nice enough to send us these books. Thank you, Jim, if you're listening in. Okay, let's see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And like I said, there's always a lot going on, right? But, I got thinking today, it really feels good being an apostate. It really does. I know the Watchtower, they have all kinds of words for us. They call us agents of the devil. They call us mentally diseased. They have, we're people that return to the vomit when we leave the Watchtower. We're people that will never have friends again. We're going to fall into drugs. We're going to get involved in all kinds of sexual misconduct. We're going to be real losers in life. Well, that's what the Watchtower portrays. But I'm an apostate, and I'm glad. I love being an apostate. And maybe you're an apostate too. I mean, if you're listening to this program, more than likely you are. But do you really know the definition of an apostate? I've said it many times. According to the Flock Book, this is their own handbook describing their definitions of certain terms. And according to the Flock Book, an apostate is one who stands aside from the teachings of the Watchtower. And then I looked the word up in Webster's dictionary. An apostate is a person who stands aside from anything that they don't like. I mean, you could be an apostate of McDonald's. Do you like McDonald's? If you don't like it, you could be an apostate. How about Walmart? You could be an apostate at Walmart if you don't like it. So anyways, I'm an apostate. I'm glad for it. I know people have come up, they say, Rick, we're not apostates. We're freedom fighters. Yeah, they try to go with that term. And then said, we're not apostates. We're lovers of truth. Well, that's good too. These are good. But, let's call it what it is. It's an apostate. Well, what else are we? And I have to tell you, we to the witnesses, I'm the boogeyman. I am the boogeyman. If you're caught listening into the 6 screens, the boogeyman has got you. But, I'm really thinking that I sleep well at night carrying the title of an apostate. That there's nothing better knowing that I'm helping people. Yes, I'm helping people, even helping myself. I'm helping people I love. And I can now do this. I can really help people genuinely. I didn't really think I was helping people as a Jehovah's Witness, knocking on doors, trying to convert them into the Jehovah's Witness religion. But now I can genuinely feel that I'm helping people. And if you're an apostate out there too, and you speak up on the program, and you have your own YouTube channels, you have your own websites, your own blogs, you also are helping people. And, we don't have to blame ourselves, for the fact that we might have eaten a piece of birthday cake. I mean, really, we don't have to even look back at the times we were bothering people at their homes. We're not bothering people here, friends. We're not at all. We're helping people. We're not hurting people. We're helping people. So, yeah, we're not boogeymen. We're not really mentally diseased. We are people that are simply having a feeling for other people and trying to let them know the dangers of being in the Watchtower. All right. So I got thinking. I'm gonna open up the lines here because I'm not gonna talk to people right now, but I have it locked. We had the drunken Bethelites in earlier, so I'm gonna unlock the program right now for those listening in. If the drunken Bethelites come on with their filthy, dirty, rotten language, I'll try to get them off as soon as we can. But let's unlock it right now.
The conference has been unlocked.
Okay, we got the conference. See what we do here. The Watchtower hates the 6 screens. They hate us. And it's in view of what I just said. See, they think that when we leave the Watchtower, our lives are going to be miserable, rotten lives. That's what they think. That's what they tell people. But I have to tell you, right? Did you want to say something, King of Dots? All right.
Yes, I did. I wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to say something, Rick? Do you want me to say something?
Yes.
I was hoping people would talk about the conclave. Do you know what that is, Rick?
The what?
The conclave.
The
conclave.
Well, good. Bring me up to speed. I'm not really sure.
Well, you know, the Pope died.
Oh, right. Okay. I know what you're talking about now.
Pope?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're having a conclave starting in 4 days to pick a new Pope.
Right.
Have you ever heard about that?
Oh, yeah. No, I got
that?
it now. I got it now. I've been watching on the news. It's the conclave. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were aware of the Catholic traditions of Boston. Boston is pretty Catholic, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you survived living there. But I wrote a poem about the conclave. Can I do that poem?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called A Conclave in the Bat Cave. There's a time to speak and a time to remain silent. You don't want to attract the bats, you know. Nobody told them about the conclave in their cave. And then their worst nightmare occurs. Yes, bats have nightmares too, friend. These bunch of giant old bat-like creatures started flocking in. Somebody said they were men, but who can tell nowadays? And I don't look under people's skirts anymore. And I'm not a gynecolectivist or a religious extrematist, but humming them Gregorian dirges in Latin rhythm had the bats flying like the Kentucky Derby. It caused such a commotion, a giant schism happened. The chimney smoke went red, then it turned white, then blue. Then somebody announced, there's going to be an American Pope for you. They was waiting for Donald Trump. But then through the door, a man walked in with a green whiskey bottle in his hand. They asked him, where have you been? He said, finishing up all the half-empty wine glasses you left from breakfast. And by the way, those burnt hot dogs were a nice touch. When you served those, I knew I was in. So where do we begin? You guys realize you haven't disfellowshipped anybody in 100 years? That almost brought me to tears. I recommend DFing entire countries immediately. You've got too many people here. We need to cut this bloated religion fat down to size. We'll use napalm if necessary. The Bible says few are the ones on the road. Doesn't anybody read the Bible here? I guess not. Not to worry, I've got a bunch in my car somewhere among my boxes. And hey, no more drinking the wine around here. Only whiskey and beer, are we clear? Boy, are we going to have some great masses now. Because you got a king as your poop or pope. What exactly is my title? Vicar of Scheist? Sounds nice. Or call me Pope Jameson the First. That's the end of that poem.
Well, I mean, where do you get this
I'm
in?
thinking for the Catholic Church, somebody has to help them, you know?
Well, it's interesting that you can spend that much time on. Where's this inspiration come from, King of Dots?
uh, a guy with his first initial is T and his last initial M. That's where it comes from.
Oh, well,
I'm not going to mention his name.
all right. No,
He wants to sue me. I'm not even going to mention his name.
no, you don't have to. You don't have to. But what I did catch in the poem is you did mention Donald Trump. Now that has come up. I mean, people joking around. But can you imagine Donald as the Pope? Jeez. I mean, maybe he could make Elon Musk a cardinal, Jeez. And that's interesting that you have that creativity to do these poems. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing that with us. Thank you, King of Dots.
Well, thanks. Can I do one more? I have to get rid of these poems. I have to get rid of them. Can I do one more?
Yeah, do one more. Go ahead. Yep.
It's very serious poem. It's called Anchor Baby. We didn't come across the border, have a child, and claim a home here, but we entered into a land we should never have been, with immigration laws that were truly obscene, the land of no return if you don't keep it clean. We tried to learn the rules, and they changed them into torture tools. But once we had our anchor baby, we had no choice to choose. The child became a real citizen, learned beautiful Theo speak, and became an officer of the court. Yes, we were becoming anything but proud, because the day we got deported, we would be the last day we would speak. So we attempted to come back, to be with our anchor baby, but no can do. There ain't no shame in trying to play the game, but not when you're playing with fools. So we accepted our deportation as if it was God's blessed decision for our own good. We left our anchor baby behind. It was time. Of course, we weren't allowed to say goodbye, and our anchor baby didn't even cry or blink an eye when he DF'd his parents. Bye-bye, son. Watchtower really knows how to take the fun out of having kids.
Well, I don't know how you come up with this, but there's a few thoughts in there that are somewhat.
Well, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. No, you're not wrong. I would say that you're pretty much on target with some of this. But, you got me thinking about even the Jehovah's Witnesses. There's congregations, especially down in the Texas, California, Arizona area, down by the border. A lot of those congregations are shrinking because of immigrants having to be sent back, being deported. Yeah. Well, thank you for the poems. Thank you for the poems, King of Dots.
Thank you for letting me get those off the books, and thank you for the Borgeses. Is that their name ahead of time before your show?
And that's
the Borges or the Borgeses?
That's the Borgies. The Borgies.
The Borg?
No, they're the Borgies. The Borgies. Yeah, Dick and Constance. Yeah.
Borgies.
Yeah. Maybe you could do a poem about them. They'd love to have that. Thank you. Thank you.
I could. Yeah, I could. So they better watch out.
Yeah. Do a poem about them. That'd be great. Thank you. All right. Well, that's King of Dots, our poet. What I was saying is the Jehovah's Witnesses, we have the drunken Bethelites. And friends, these are Watchtower operatives. They hate what we are doing here at the Six Screens. Now, we do something different than other programs do. We have live people, like you just heard King of Dots, call in with his poems. We're having fun. We're having a good community here. We all love one another. We have fun every Saturday night. The Watchtower hates it. That we're supposed to be bad people returning to the vomit. We're supposed to be people that are mentally diseased, like I said earlier. We're having fun, and the Watchtower hates it, so they try to come in here and upset things. But, this week I'm thinking, will the Watchtower really continue to survive? Will it survive? Well, there's three things that I came across that I'm thinking could be the death nail for the Watchtower. And you guys probably know what they would be. First of all, I'm just going to say the baby boomers. Well, I'm a baby boomer myself. And if you're over 60, I believe you're a baby boomer. So, many people listening to this program are baby boomers. And that is one thing that could really knock the Watchtower for a flying loop. As the baby boomers get older and go, they're going to die off. There's going to be a financial hemorrhage. The baby boomers give a lot of money to the Watchtower. And then also, that's one of the things that could really hurt the Watchtower, the baby boomers. But then I think about the CSA, child sex abuse lawsuits. That's something that is catching up on them. They're hemorrhaging money, millions of dollars going out for lawsuits. So baby boomers, CSA lawsuits, and how about the internet? The internet, the great equalizer. Let me just say here for the record, that I'm not telling you the Watchtower is going to go bankrupt. I believe they have plenty of money, but I mean, they have a lot in assets, maybe not a lot in cash. I don't know. I'm not their accountant, but they always seem to be asking for more, more, more. It's hard to turn property quickly into cash. So, another thing that's happening in the witness world, and you all know it, if you're a PME listening in or a PMO or just one that's questioning the Watchtower, you know that no one wants to volunteer to be an elder or a ministerial servant anymore. Now, that used to be a position that carried weight. There was a level of elitism that went along with that. It no longer is the case. Many ministerial, so-called ministerial servants, wannabes, or elders don't want to be them anymore because they can see the turbulence, the lawsuits. They can see all of this, and they can see the handwriting on the wall. The Watchtower's reputation in the world is a joke. It's a joke. There's no question about it. It's embarrassing to be a Jehovah's Witness today. It always wasn't that way. It's embarrassing for a person to be an elder. And when you're knocking on doors or talking to people, hey, I'm an elder in the Jehovah's Witness religion, don't you think people start thinking, oh, that guy's an elder, he's covering up pedophiles? I remember when the Catholic Church had their problem with sexual perversion and pedophiles. And I remember many of the priests, at least up here in Boston, that they wouldn't even go out with their collar on. They would put a sweatshirt or a regular shirt on. They wouldn't wear their collar because they were so embarrassed because everybody knew about the pedophilia problems. So I just wanted to bring that up tonight, that these are things that could really tank the Watchtower. The internet, the CSA lawsuits, and the baby boomers leaving. Did 602 want to say something? Come in, 602. I believe it's Phoenix, Arizona. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Rick. So this is Gilbert. I kind of agree, but there's a part of me that disagrees with you, and it's because I think that Watchtower will destroy itself, and one of the reasons also is because remember when Jesus talked about, like, if no one speaks out, then the rocks would speak out. So the fact that Watchtower and other bad institutions all across the earth are, they're allowed to exist, we know that. But also we have a chance to prove to ourselves and to our Creator that we are going to take a side for the truth. Because at the end of the day, when you boil it down to its most basic form, everything is about either the lie or the truth. See, so I don't think like God or Jesus cares about Watchtower's money or this or that. They care about, are they on the side of truth or are they on the side of the lie? And by their actions, Watchtower has told everybody what side of the game of life they are in. They have chosen the lie over the truth. And we by being apostates, we can actually demonstrate and show that we want nothing to do with that, and we choose the other side. So this thing about Watchtower's destruction, I believe they're going to bring it upon themselves. And let me just tell you something real quick. you might even play it today, but there was a video that was going around. I guess these two guys, they look like hunters from like West Virginia or North Carolina with beards. And they talk about they're going to the Kingdom Hall and their experience. And in their experience, they talk about how, they were being met at the door, and then all of the men asked them the same question, like if it was a script, and they couldn't even go to the restroom without, somebody following them. And also, they couldn't just be alone and sit alone. Somebody had to sit next to them. So they felt really uneasy. So the reason I mention that is a great video if people have seen it. But the point is this, going back to earlier when you said how you mentioned Donald Trump, when he was running for office, he said, you're going to win so much that you're going to get tired of winning. And you're going to say, please, please stop all of this winning. And I think what happens with the apostates is a lot of apostates, they forget that they're winning. See, you get so involved in the news of the Watchtower, and you get frustrated that nobody goes to jail. You get frustrated that these people are continuing to be allowed to prosper. And that's normal, because the Bible writer Asaph talked about that in Psalm 72. He was mad that these people, they did terrible things in the temple, and yet they prospered. But he talked himself out of that terrible reasoning, because he had to look at the big picture. And there's a bigger picture here. Watchtower is losing because the apostates, with that video where those two guys talk about how Watchtower is securing the doors, sitting next to you, that's because there was a group of ragtag apostates called the Vast Apostate Army. Love them or hate them. You could hate them all you want. But they got off of their chairs, off of their rear ends, and they literally did something. They crashed Kingdom Halls. They crashed conventions. They did everything in 2015, 2016. And Watchtower is in defensive mode. Watchtower is running scared. And they're paranoid schizophrenics. And anybody that goes to a Kingdom Hall looks and says, what's wrong with these people? These guys are not normal. They're a bunch of freaks. And it's because the apostates are winning and they have set the agenda. Now, I'm just going to mention this real quick. In the 1990s, there was the greatest history of basketball, National Basketball Association. And it's because there was two types of basketball being played. The Eastern Conference played defense and the Western Conference played offense. So the Western Conference would always have like 120 points per game. And the Eastern would always slow the game down and only have 80 points. The point is this. Both games were exciting because they were professional. Watchtower is playing defense and we're playing offense. And that's the beauty of the apostate movement, that we're playing offense and we're winning. Now, in the 90s, the Chicago Bulls won because they had the best defensive team. But either way, Watchtower's on the defense and they're losing. And we should find joy in that. That we should not worry about Watchtower going to jail or them falling. It's going to happen when it happens. We're not going to accelerate it. But the simple fact that we are allowed to lend our voices to that fight is the best thing, in my opinion, is the greatest thing that we have. That God has allowed us to say, no, hell no, I will not pull up with this anymore. I will not be a part of this. And so it doesn't matter what fight you enter. If you're listening, it doesn't matter what fight you enter. James O'Keefe, the famous reporter, says, just do something. And that's the message that I'll give to you is you're doing something. If you're listening and you don't know what to do, Jimmy Bell's doing something. Joe and Fran have postcards. You know, Rick, I used to send postcards in 2015 and 2016 to all of the Jehovah's Witnesses in my city. And it was a picture of the governing body. And my face was on it, the new governing body with my face. But I would also send another postcard of the Australian Royal Commission to the neighbors of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And the city overseer, the top Jehovah's Witness in Yuma, Arizona, he thought he was something. But all of the parts houses, because he was an electrician, all of the parts houses, all of the places that he would frequent, every day as a business owner, I would send those businesses the Australian Royal Commission postcard. And same thing with my brother-in-law, who was in charge of a big department in the city where he worked at. So guess what? They couldn't preach anymore because all of the people would be getting these postcards from me, and they would say, "What's this? What's this?" That's what I'm trying to say. Is everyone just needs to be on offense and give thanks that God has allowed you to join the team and to lend a voice and to be part of the fight.
Well, I have to say, Gilbert, no, that's good. What you're saying is true. Yeah, they are. They are defending themselves against us, and it always hasn't been this way. I've been doing this for 20 years, and back then we did not get any points on the scoreboard at all. Really, I mean, nothing, zero. But now we're starting to get some momentum. We really have got these guys in a corner, and they are really doing everything they can to fight back. They're doing everything they can to fight back. In fact, I'll tell you what, this idea of witnesses going door to door, that's going. And what I'm trying to say here, I don't believe the Watchtower will ever completely go out of business, but they're going to change their business model. Now, people know what Jehovah's Witnesses have been up to. Their image has been tarnished. They got to continue to rebrand. And I mean, the governments are catching up on them around the world. It's not only for the shunning and the abuse of children that people are finding out, governments are finding out about, but also the money scheme. These guys are master scammers. They're scamming people. And I don't know if
because freedom of religion does not mean that you have a right to own a bank, charge people interest for loans on property, and then confiscate the property after payments have been made. And you are not allowed by the Constitution to have a freedom of religion to take payments on a monthly basis and never ever give a statement of account. See, so the governments are saying, hold on a minute, you lent money and you never gave an account statement to the congregation of what the balance owed was? That's violation of lending laws. And freedom of religion does not give you the right to create your own bank with your own set of rules.
Well, basically, the Watchtower. Go ahead, King of Dodge. Yep.
Yeah, I like what you said, Rick, the rebranding. And that's what we have to focus on. We can't allow them to rebrand because then people forget. They're getting rid of all their books and publications, right, Gilbert? I mean, they even ask people to burn some of the publications. So that's their only hope. If we allow them to rebrand and we don't remind people what they've been teaching for so many decades, how many things they've changed. It's like all the psychological medications that witnesses are on now, it was condemned thoroughly. People were being disfellowshipped back in the 70s for doing this stuff. You can take a Valium or anything. Not that I don't take Valium. I just want to clarify. Not that I haven't. I think I might have one time, a couple times. Ativan, stuff like that. I mean, it's so overt what they're doing, hiding what they really did teach that harmed people. So I'm just saying, focus on the rebranding. Don't let them do it. Make sure they own it.
Well, yeah. In fact, when I think of them rebranding, it's in terms of this Ramapo project. Now, they've been talking that up here for the last 3 or 4 years. Nothing's really being done. They're continuing to ask for money. They're continuing to ask for labor, but nothing's really being done on that work site right now. So they're trying to get this thing built, and they know they have to do it. They know they have to do it because the old brand of Jehovah's Witnesses is not working. They will go into the streaming business. They will charge their their members, if you want to call them that, even though the Watchtower doesn't call them members anymore. Call them what you want, but the people associated with the Watchtower will end up paying for subscription service. Now, also, the other thing that's happening right now as we talk, the Watchtower is under all types of investigation by the FBI. And even the Internal Revenue is looking into their tax dealings. For many years, they've been fighting to stay tax exempt in so many areas, but now they're starting to, get an eye turned on them by the officials to be. And just to give you an idea, I don't know who was around back in 1995, 1996. I know you were, King and Dot. I don't know about Gilbert. I don't know where he was. But back in 1996, they changed the way that we sold literature. Prior to 1996, we were selling literature. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. We would go out and we would say to the people at the door, this is the Watchtower, this is the Awake magazine. You can have the both of them for 25 cents. Do you all remember that? Yeah, that's prior to 1996. But all of a sudden, there was a problem. Jimmy Swaggart, the minister, was out in California, and he was selling books. At least he didn't realize at the time, but the state of California said, hey, wait a minute, Brother Swaggart. You are selling these books. You're supposed to collect a sales tax. So anyways, the Watchtower got scared to death of this because they had all these people, a million people out selling their books. Geez, what happens now if we got to collect sales tax? That's going to throw a wrench into the works. So what they did, they went to work in the legal department, and we know what happened in 1996. The Watchtower came out, and they had all kinds of demonstrations in this service meeting on how we're now to place magazines. And by changing one word, they were able to get the tax people off their case. Now, we used to say, sir, at the door, ma'am, at the door, these magazines, you can have 2 for 25 cents, but on a contribution basis. Now they said, don't say that no more. Hold on 1 second. They said, don't say this anymore. Tell the people it's a donation. And they changed it to donation. They got away with it. It's a donation. They're not selling. Go ahead. Who wanted to speak up? Is that you, Jeffrey?
Rick, this was Zachary.
Yes, Zach. Yeah.
I do remember that. I do remember exactly what you're talking about. It happened in 1990, and they had everything was a contribution basis before, and at that time the magazines were selling for 25 cents each, and so they had a special service meeting where they demonstrated the new way that we would be presenting the Watchtower and Awake. And the new terminology was that it would be a complete, it's called complete donation basis. And you would base, and it was around September that they had the service meeting, and I think it went into effect that January. And so they said, we were supposed to say something like this. After we did our presentation, we would say, this is part of a worldwide Bible educational work. It is supported by voluntary donations, and I would be glad to accept a donation if you care to give one today. And so they, exactly as you're saying, they changed the way the magazines were presented at the door by saying it was supported by voluntary donations, rather than saying for a contribution of 50 cents for 2.
Yeah, well, see, they did that. In fact, even today, they're being examined by the tax people. In view of all of, like, Gilbert was just on, and he said that we are we're coming against them. We're the offense right now. The apostates are the offense. I like what Gilbert said. And then, of course, the Watchtower is defending themselves. But in view of the Norway situation, in view of 12 countries I counted that are coming against the Jehovah's Witness organization, they have to start changing things around big time. So that's what they're doing as these countries start digging into their inner works and finding about what they're covering up about child molestation, what they're covering up about shunning. They're also coming to grips with their finances. Well, who's running this? Where's the money coming from? Why are they tax exempt? So, they are fighting hard to keep that tax exempt status. And the more apostates, as we go about it offensively, bringing this up, it could really hurt the Watchtower. 315, what do you have to say, 315?
Hello, Rick. It's Joe and Fran. Just some information about Ramapo.
Yes.
Okay. So, we run a business here, and one of our customers delivers industrial tools to all different kind of companies all over. They've got quite a inventory, and companies all over. And besides that, okay, this is like the owner of that. And he also has at least two or three Jehovah's Witnesses that work there. So we had a lot in common, and then we finally told him about, what Watchtower's doing. We handed him one of our postcards, and he was shocked. He says, I didn't know this. And he's had witnesses work for him a long time, but he did not know about the CSA. So anyway, he went on to tell us about, he said, I was just down at their big complex. He didn't remember the name of it. So he said, oh, was it Wallkill? He said, no. Warwick, no. And then we said Ramapo, and he said, yes. And so this was his thoughts on it, his observation perspective. He said, first thing he noticed is that he lost cell service because he was delivering something to them. First, he lost cell service. He goes, oh, this is really strange. And then, it's out in the country, very isolated. He goes, wow, what is this place, And then he pulls up to the gate, and there's a brother with a tie on and very nice, and lets him in. And he said, yeah, the people were nice and everything, but it was just so strange. He said, boy, it looks like so secretive. We go, yeah, that's going to be their new filming where they're going to make videos and everything. He said, it's huge. He said he couldn't believe how big it is, and how much money it costs and all that, because he's a businessman. So anyway, he's got a different perspective now about the witnesses. And he said when he went home that night, he said, I just kept thinking about it. He said he had no idea. And we're going to keep in touch with him. A really, really nice business guy, very fair, very family oriented, good marriage, and Joe and I said, man, and he's got his children, they're they all get together. I said, boy, did we make a mistake getting involved in the Watchtower. We wasted 36 years of our life. We lost our 4 children. And here, this man, he's got it all. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you about Ramapo.
Well, thank you, Fran. In fact, there's a person here on Facebook, SOS. They're wondering what Ramapo is. Well, why don't you explain what Ramapo is to this person, Fran?
Well, to my knowledge, it's a new what do you call it? It's going to be a video center. They're going to make all the videos there, and all costumes, all about Jesus, all about it could be anything. It could be anything for jw.org, but it's for all the videos. Because what they said is they were making videos at Patterson, and they were doing something at Wallkill, so they wanted to have a complex for one area to do it. And they were encouraging anybody that wants to be an actor or actresses for entertainment, come here. But right now they're in the process of building it. And that's what this gentleman observed. So Joe says it's going to be Hollywood East.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I tried to stop it. Now, the whole project was supposed to be built by 2026. Of course, it's not going to be. But they have, from what I understand, as you're saying, started it. Whether they'll complete it or not, that project is going to cost the Watchtower close to $500 million. That's $500 million.
Amazing. Yeah.
And
Crazy.
they're trying to get the money in. They're still trying. It's slower than they thought, but they have started evidently on it. Whether it'll ever be finished, who knows? But I'll tell you that they've got to pull this off. This is their last stance.
Mhm.
If they don't get this Ramapo done, they're done. No question about it.
Yeah.
That they've got to change their way of doing business. They have to present this media center where they're going to do all of these films. And what they're hoping is that, right now, for example, if you go out and knock on a door as a Jehovah's Witness, the world sees the Jehovah's Witnesses as having a tarnished image. It's not the elite religion that it used to be. And I've mentioned this so many times here in the 6 screens that when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I was pretty good. I mean, I felt pretty good dancing down the street and calling on people. And I felt that, they said there's nobody that's going to question you.
Doctor said,
Yeah. In fact, that's it. Hold on one
by
second.
then, she couldn't feed herself.
Yeah. Okay.
The conference has been locked.
All right. We had to lock the conference again because of these people coming in. So, we'll let it go at that.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Fran. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Fran. JP, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Rick, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to say, are you going to cover how the governing body has been, they haven't been indicted, but they have to give a deposition, I think, or something. It's called like that by September in the state of New York, and 8 of the governing body members, including Tony Morris, who's the former governing body, is included in this deposition that they have to appear before court. Have you heard of that? I guess the last 4, like Gage Legal and
JP, hold on one second, JP. We got a very bad connection here. There's a lot of static on the line. I'm not sure why.
Can you hear me better, Rick?
That's better. Yep. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say that in September, the governing body has to appear before the court of New York because they have to give a deposition. I believe it's for something that has to do with child abuse and them covering it up. And there's 8 governing body members listed in the deposition, and 7 of them are currently governing body members, and there's 1 former governing body member included in that, who's Tony Morris. But then the new 4 governing body members that they have recently included over the last couple of years aren't included in this. But are you aware of that, Rick? I think you've talked about it before, but they have to appear for this. I believe it's called a deposition. I don't know, they've been indicted or something, but it's called a deposition, which they have to go give statements or something. But they have to do that by, I think, September of this year. I think the channel Fixing My Faith and maybe a few other channels were covering that. But did you know about that, Rick?
Yeah. We've talked about it, months ago, really. What it basically is happening here is they are called in. They're listed as the defendants. They're being charged. The person who is charging, or at least trying to sue the Watchtower over child abuse, that they named in this deposition, and they want the governing body to come to court and answer. And whether or not they will or not, that this has happened before in numerous cases where the governing body was actually told they have to appear, and they don't. And they seem to get off scot-free. Now, I hope in this case in New York, this time they really put the pressure on them. But sometimes all the courts do is, throw a fine at them. Well, if you don't come, we're going to fine you this and that. And the Watchtower in the past, at least I know one case out in California where the Watchtower in the past said, fine, I'm not coming, find me. And so it's they get away with this, and I hope they're not going to get away with it this time. But thank you for bringing that up, because this is good. They are named as the defendants, not just the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society or the Watchtower organization, but the governing body members are on the docket to answer questions. Yes. Thank you.
Exactly, Rick. That's what the point I wanted to bring out is. It's always in all these states where it's child molestation and CSA stuff, where Watchtower has settled it out of court. It's always to the Watchtower Society or one of their corporations. But this is the first time that they've been able to, I think, really nail like all of the governing body, because the person that's bringing these allegations is actually from the state of New York. So they're bringing proof against the governing body that they are the ones, they are Watchtower, and they are running this corporation. It's not just some publishing company or, you know, something like they're trying to present it. There's actually a entity and a group of men that are running this and putting all these policies in to cover up this CSA, breaking up families, and, you know, causing people to die over their blood policies. So I'm praying to God that they will have to go to court and give a deposition, and hopefully they'll be brought to justice one day. We'll see. But I mean, this definitely, something has to happen, because it's just affecting too many people. And I think, you know, we're on the right track here. You know, we'll just have to see what happens in September. You know, obviously they're going to delay it to the very last day, you know, till their attorneys or, you know, Watchtower, their legal department responds to their deposition or whatever the governing body has to do. You know, the ones that are listed in this case, there's going to be no doubt that they're going to wait till the very last day, and then they're going to respond and carry it. And it's probably going to delay for a year or so. But, you know, Rick, we can all just pray that one day these guys will be in court and they're going to have to answer for what they do. And hopefully one day soon, you know, we'll be able, you'll be sharing these guys' mugshots on 6 Screens, because I can't wait to see Stephen Lett's mugshot if he's ever, you know, has to hold responsibility for all the crimes he's committed against humanity, you know?
Well, I like to.
Thank you for your show. I hope you're having a good night.
Well, thank you, JP. I like the way you sound. And what will happen? I mean, I'm not going to play the devil's advocate here, but this is what the Watchtower does. Okay, even if they go into court, so they're going to sit in the courtroom, and the plaintiff is going to have their attorney say that, you know, I was raped as a young child, and, you know, the congregation in ABC, New York, did this to me, and brother so-and-so did this, and he was an elder. And now the governing body member is going to say, okay, I'm here, but, you know, that wasn't me that did it. That wasn't me that did it. Brother Jones did that. He was the one that raped the person. Yeah, but Watchtower, you know, Mr. Governing Body Member, you know, the message comes down from you. That this is where the Watchtower always gets off. They claim to the court systems that they're not hierarchical. In other words, they claim, even though it's not true, they lie through their teeth, but the Watchtower claims that they're not a hierarchical organization. Now, what that means, if you're a hierarchical organization, that means that the orders come down from the top. But whenever they go into court, they always say, no, we're not that. These elders ran renegade, and they didn't get rid of this person that they should have. That's the defense. And they seem to win on that. But I just hope they can really prove that, hey, listen, these orders come down from the governing body. Let's hope that can happen, JP. Let's go to 203. I think that's my good friend. I think it's Carol. Hello, Carol.
Hi, yes, it's Carol. This is kind of a side thing, and I was wondering if Zachary is still listening. And part of this is for you also, Rick. I was wondering if the Watchtower ever had a reunion of all the Bethelites from, let's say, 1960, or we can put it to 1970 and up, to have a reunion of all the Bethelites. I was wondering if he would go, if he got a personal invitation somehow, would he go?
Well, that's a good
I'm
question.
asking Zachary that.
I'm still listening. I don't think I would be going.
You wouldn't go?
I don't think so. That would be interesting, but I wouldn't know. There's such a turnover of people. People there now would be people I don't know.
Well, of course. But that came across my mind. If how you would feel about that, or if you, I didn't think you would go, but you never know. And one more thing, Rick, all the anointed from, I don't know, choose a date. If they ever had so much of a reunion for them to see, invite them all down to the headquarters, would you go?
I'll tell you something. I probably would. I mean, not in light of me wanting to become a Jehovah's Witness again, but there's still something inside me that makes me wonder how they all came to grips with being an anointed one and staying in the organization. That would be my premise of going there. I got out.
Right.
In other words, I learned the Watchtower. I'm not going to get scriptural, but see, here's the scripture that I really am going to use. The scripture here is 1 John 2:20 and 27. Now, what that scripture says is simply this. When you are taught by the Holy Spirit, when you become a Christian person, the Holy Spirit will teach you. Now, what the Holy Spirit taught me when I got anointed, and anybody become anointed, it's not anything special. All Christians are anointed. But when a person gets anointed, especially if it's in the Watchtower, because I got anointed because I started reading other Bibles. I started seeing they weren't teaching the real truth. So I feel the Holy Spirit taught me to get away from that organization, to leave it. They're not good. They're satanic. So anyways, I would love to meet these anointed ones if there ever was such a reunion. And that would be the first question I would have for them. Why'd you stay in this organization when you got the real understanding from the Bible and not their cockamamie policies and procedures and teachings they give you? That would be my thoughts, Carol.
You know what? This is funny because I figured Zachary would say, nope, I'm not going. And no matter what. And then I figured you would say, yes, I'm going. Because that would give you an opportunity to talk to these people, whether they were, whoever they were. But I figured you would. But I'll let you get back to the program. But it was kind of like gnawing at me, and I said, you know what? What the heck? Why not ask?
Well, here's the thing. I want to just bring up that. It's a crazy thing, but I think I mentioned last week. I don't want to be redundant, but what happened is I got to know Garrett Loesch, the governing body member. I got to know him kind of pretty good. We were talking on the phone. He invited me down there and all of this. I won't get into all that story, but what he wanted me to do as the outside anointed, because they have like a term. If you're there in Bethel, you're the inside anointed. You'd be the faithful and discreet slave at the time. Not today, but at the time you were faithful and discreet slave. And then if you were not in Bethel, you were considered to be outside anointed. So he wanted me what he wanted me to do was find anointed ones. And so I went in search of the anointed. And I mentioned it last week. I'll say it again. I go to conventions and assemblies, and I'd walk around at lunchtime. And I was in search of the anointed. And I would go up to strangers. Hi, sister. I'm Brother Farron from Massachusetts. And, I'm wondering, just thinking out loud, do you have any anointed ones in your congregation? And they would say, oh, yeah, we do. We have, well, Sister Zealous, she's an anointed one, but she's a little loony. And then I'd ask another person, hey, can you tell me, do you have any anointed ones in your congregation? Oh, yeah, we have Brother Smith, but he's a drunkard. I mean, everyone I went to, they had this ill feeling toward the anointed. And so I was telling that to Brother Loesch. I'd say, what's going on out here? Everyone I talk to seems to really discount the anointed. I don't know where they're getting this thought from. And then I finally did contact 10. I finally contacted 10 so-called real anointed ones that partook. And every one of them, I think but one, every one of them was being brought up for judicial committee hearing to perhaps be disfellowshipped. And when I talked to Loesch about, yeah, it was the strangest thing, Carol. Didn't make sense.
Rick, did you find it strange that he would ask you, out of all these people, he would ask you to speak to these people, or, give you that chore, we'll put it that way. I can't think of the other word. Did you find it odd that he asked you that?
Yeah, in fact, just so people can see I'm not just blowing wind here, I just put up a picture on YouTube. It's on Facebook. You can see it. There's a picture of me. That's me. I'm just I'm 50. I think I was 50, 55, I think at the time, I forget, but somewhere in my mid 50s. And that is my wife right there next to me. That's my former wife. Her name was Inez. And then right next to me, that's Brother Loesch. And I went down there. He invited me to come down. And what it turned out to be was an interview for a potential position on the governing body. I didn't know it at the time, but then I found out it was that, because they needed anointed brothers in good standing. Now, I wasn't any spiritual giant. I couldn't write a Watchtower. I mean, I just was an anointed brother that was in good standing. I wasn't always called in the back room for something, that I did wrong. So consequently, he asked me to come down and I had an interview there. I spent a good part of the day with him. But after being there, as everyone knows, it's not a religion, it's a business. It's nothing more than a business.
Right.
So I didn't want to get involved with these people at all. I left there and I was,
that was an eye opener. And everything happens for a reason. So great. And I appreciate your time. I really do. And thank you, Zachary. I appreciate yours also.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Zach wouldn't go. But he's probably a little skittish about that. I can understand it.
Right.
It's years ago now. It was late 80s, and they're not even at the same location. And the day you had what's his name, JT and Lady C on, and when he said where he worked, I realized, oh my goodness, I used to see him all the time. We worked in the same building. But so I've seen some Bethelites. But I don't think I'd go. There would be no purpose. What would be the purpose? Totally new location.
Where everybody stood. I can imagine how many of them, like yourself, has walked away. But
that would be very interesting to talk to people that I did know and find out where they stood. Now, I would do that, and I don't mean like a broadcast conversation. I mean a one-to-one conversation.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, I'll let you all go and to the rest of the program.
I found the Rutherford book again and enjoyed the last chapters of it.
Well, what you enjoy about a Pixie?
Well, it was Carrie there that had convinced me to get it. And it talks about how Rutherford didn't do good business meetings. He didn't even keep minutes on his meetings. But I found it and picked it up again. And in the last 2 or 3 chapters, it has the old Bible students and pictures of these handsome brothers and this one very spiritual sister. So it was worth buying the book just to review on who those people were. They were kind of interesting.
Well, I'll tell you that
The days of Van Amberg and people like that.
Oh, yeah, that Van Amberg. Yeah, a lot of people never heard of him, Pixie. But I got a book right here. We'll be giving this book away tonight. Let me just grab it here. I want to show the audience. This is actually a book here. It's called A Bible for the Scientists. This actually was a Watchtower publication, friends. And I'll be giving some of these books away tonight. You want to stay tuned for the game after the program. But anyways, this book right here is written by W.E. Van Amberg. Now, he was the personal secretary for Russell, Charles Taze Russell. And he, in this book, talks about pyramidology. He talks about Russell going to Giza, measuring the chambers in the pyramids, and how he calculated the inches into years that he came up with 1914. So this book is a real great book. And that's Amberg. He was the secretary to Charles Taze Russell. Thank you, Pixie, for bringing that up. Okay, you're on 6 screens, JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about it every Saturday night and every other Sunday right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. So anyways, I started wondering, I've been moving this week, as you guys know. I'm moving where I live to another house. I'm moving all my books and everything that I've had in storage. I've got probably the largest collection of Watchtower publications on the East Coast of the United States. And one thing I get wondering, well, what is the most stupid, what is the most ridiculous Watchtower article or publication that I have ever come across? I mean, there's a lot of them, but I'll just stay with recent times here. And I have to really say that, well, it would have been the November 15th, 2013 study edition, page 17. That, well, I think I mentioned so many times before, but I'm going to read it to you, then you'll know what I'm getting at. Now, this is verbatim right out of that Watchtower in 2013, November 15th. At that time, the life-saving direction that we receive from Jehovah's organization may not appear practical from a human standpoint. All of us must be ready to obey any instructions we may receive, whether these appear sound from a strategic or human standpoint or not. So I got thinking about this. I think about this a lot. I really do. I bring it up here a lot on the 6 Screens. But the reason why I got thinking a lot about it is I'm really wondering a lot. What exactly is the governing body preparing Jehovah's Witnesses for? You know, the saying that, you know, we're going to come out with some information that sounds ridiculous, but believe it anyways. So what are the governing body preparing the Jehovah's Witnesses for? This is what I'm trying to come to grips with. I mean, and I come up with some thoughts, but they actually want, the governing body wants the Jehovah's Witness, rank and file, elders, ministerial servants, whoever, they want them to obey them blindly, even if it makes 0 sense. That is foolish. Now, just a few ideas I came up with.
Sounds like Jim Jones to me.
It does, Pixie. So here are a few things that I thought of that, I'm just thinking because they must have something at mind. So I think, it could be that they could say, kind of like they did in 1975, we're so close, friends. Quit your job, sell your house, help us. We need the money. We really need the money to further Jehovah's good news of the kingdom. That's one thing, and maybe they won't present it exactly like that. Then I also think that it's going to be so stupid and so crazy that they could even ask the people to sign over their personal assets and property. Now, I'm not far-fetched when I talk like this. This is already happening. There's plenty of people signing their property off to the Watchtower. And I mean, we've seen it done with Kingdom Halls, right? Even though, local Kingdom Halls, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, they were owned by the congregation. And then the Watchtower came weaseling themselves in, and they coerced the brothers in the congregation to turn the deed over to the Watchtower. So this is something they're familiar with. They've already practiced it, you could say. And then I'm also thinking of this spiffy new wealth management company that was founded in Ireland by the Jehovah's Witnesses. They've got something up their sleeve here. Are they going to tell witnesses to, let them take the money and invest it for them? Now, then I hear things like, well, Rick, maybe they're getting ready to drink the Kool-Aid. Maybe they're going to, as the government moves on them, like in Waco, Texas, with that compound with David Koresh, maybe there's going to be another Waco incident. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if it's going to be another Jim Jones. I don't know. But the thing is, there is a saying I know. There is a saying, desperate people do, the answer. Desperate people do desperate things. So if you have an organization that's desperate, and I'm saying right now the Watchtower is somewhat in panic mode. I don't know if they're totally desperate yet, but panic can result in desperateness. So when they get into a desperate situation, they might try some desperate things. That's just my thoughts. What do you guys think? What do you think? Do you think they could pull a Jim Jones? Do you think they would go that far? We hear these things, and let me tell you something. I'm not going to say they are because it sounds crazy, right? But geez, the more I even think about it, it's a crazy organization. I still have a daughter in there. My wife has 2 daughters in there. You're listening tonight. You have children. You have friends in there. Don't you think it's crazy? Don't you think it's really freaky, scary how they treat people that leave? Do you see this? Do you see these people with strange thoughts? We see it all the time. And then when you have a Watchtower article, like that article I read you from November 15th, even though you might receive something that's not practical from a human standpoint, you must obey it. Come on, let's get real. What do you think, Michael?
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Good.
I didn't think too much. I didn't think too much of it, but since you mentioned it, they're not short of crazy things for their people to believe. I talked to a lady this week about the 1914 date, talked to her about the overlapping generation, and she got down to the point where she just said, well, this is the best religion of all of them that you could come up with. And I told her that Jesus didn't call her to a religion, called her to Jesus himself. But all that being said, one thing they could be doing, because they're putting so much fear and telling people that they're going to be persecuted for God's namesake, they could be saying, okay, and I kind of know how these people work. They could say, you know what, to protect your property and protect your monies, you should sign all that over to us. We'll organize it for you in this spot here in Ireland or whatever, and you won't lose it that way. Could be one thought.
Well, that's a good thought. That's a good thought.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, Vixie.
that blood card is a death warrant.
Yeah, I don't know what else you'd want to call it. I mean, that's what it is to an inside PME Jehovah's Witness. They don't see it that way, but us ex-witnesses, it is. Sign your life away. Get in an accident. Need blood. You're dead. You're dead.
The scripture on the blood card has nothing to do with health. It's almost like the legal department was laughing at them and warning them at the same time. If you have a blood card, read the scripture that's on it. It has nothing to do with your health.
You're right. You're right, Pixie.
So,
but people sign it. People sign it. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. I don't want to get off the subject, but you were talking about going on the offense with the witnesses. And I just want to go back just and tell you, I so much agree with that, because it's not so fashionable to be a Jehovah's Witness now. These two people that I talked to this week, when you start to tell them about the organization, when you start to tell them about all the child abuse, they're first at shock. But all you have to do nowadays is pick up a phone and say, okay, look, the temple wasn't destroyed in 607; it was destroyed in 587. Here, look, here's the history. You every fact that you mention, all these crazy beliefs. Now you can just take your phone and show it to them, just that quick. So I like the idea of going on the offense. I stay away from the doctrinal, but I did try to destroy the organization.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm going to give credit to Gilbert. He kind of came up with that offense thing. I like that too. It was very good thought, and we can stay on the offense. And like I told him that, Gilbert, it always wasn't, we always weren't on the offense. But now we have so many allies that are all fighting against the Watchtower, but it wasn't that way. In fact, I'll tell you, when I started this 20 years ago, it used to make me sick because we couldn't get any points on the school board. We kept losing. I mean, every time, right now there's so much news. I get the news and people send it to me, and I appreciate those that do that. But I also get it off of Google. I get it off Reddit. I get it from everywhere. But the news today is so cynical and negative and critical about the Watchtower. But it wasn't that way before 20 years ago when I used to try to get the news, and there wasn't that much of it. It was always like positive. Oh, the witnesses are having a convention and they're going to really fill the restaurants and the money's going to pour into the city. It was all positive stuff. But now it's all negative. It's turned. It's not like it was 20 years ago. So we're getting points on the scoreboard. And I have to tell all the apostates out there, all you guys that are activists and doing things, Michael, by you calling in, you're an activist. People calling into the program, we can all go on the offense and fight against the Watchtower. Thank you, Gil. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're a big part of it, Rick. You're a big part of it. Keep your work up.
Well, thank you. No, we're moving in the right direction. We got a good, I'll tell you what, we got a good community here, Michael. I have to tell you, they're smart. I've had people say that listen to this program. They said, Rick, I had a person tell me that this week. He says, Rick, I listened into your program. He says, the people who call in, they're very smart. I said, yeah. I says, I noticed that too. They do well. So I'm glad for that. We have very smart people with us. I appreciate that. I thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
It's nice talking to you.
What I learned this week is with the new witness convention, they're going to rebrand with some new Jesus stuff. And I have no idea what direction they're going to take it. But they've got an actor. He looks more like he should be playing Peter. He's kind of got a square face, and he's a well-built, strong-looking man. And they got him playing Jesus, and they got 5 points on their assembly program about what Jesus did, I guess. But I don't know how they're going to spin it. So I might spend an afternoon and watch that when it comes online and report back. And I think they've got to rebrand because they're losing people too quickly. I mean, we should all be cheering for these people that are leaving because I think they're leaving in droves. I think COVID was the best thing that ever happened to people, not in terms of health, but in terms of sitting at home and figuring out what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives.
Well, I'll tell you, Pixie, you're right on.
This conclave with This conclave with the Pope's interesting. I've got a $20 bet on the Black Pope. We'll see who wins. We're in very interesting times. I've predicted that before, but now everybody can see it. And we got a 69% decrease in all shipping on the West Coast. I don't know what the East Coast ports are looking like, but we're in some crazy days.
Well, it's funny, it's funny. Almost everyone you talk to, Pixie, almost every single person, they will bring that up. Now, it's the world we're living in right now, as far as the economy, I call it schizophrenic. It's a schizophrenic economy. There are people that are doing really good, and then there's so many people falling through the cracks. It's so easy to see that in the community that I live in. I live in Tewksbury, but the next town over, city over, is Lowell, Massachusetts. It's the fourth largest city in Massachusetts. And the homeless people, it's unbelievable. It is. They're sleeping along the river. They're sleeping on the sidewalks. They're sleeping in tents. It's just like, it's unreal to see all of it. And yet at the same time, you go by restaurants, they're packed. The food stores are packed. Everything is busy, Walmart. And yet you have all these homeless people. So it's like schizophrenic. There's a good part.
I'll give you a phrase. I'll give you a phrase that's not related to a phrase you might use for mental illness. For years, I've said it's moving toward the futile. But the other day, I saw a book title that's along the same lines, but it's called Techno-Feudalism. And we're moving into techno-feudalism. And if you know 5 cents about the Middle Ages, there was no middle class. It was serfs and the people that lived in the castle. So that's how it's moving. They want to destroy everything middle class, and you're going to have poor and you're going to have rich. And there's a notion to bring in this basic income because most of the jobs are going to disappear.
Well, that sounds very fascinating, and that's interesting you say it because it's developing as we speak. We see this. I see it happening here. It's
techno-feudalism.
Techno-feudalism. Well, thank you for that term. I'll have to check that out. But no, that's what I see going on. It's because it's. I say to people, everyone knows I make signs. That's what I do. I'm a sign man. I make signs for businesses. I do these electronic message centers. I make neon signs, all that type stuff. And I can't believe some of these restaurants I'm doing business with. They're like busting at the seams. And yet I drive down the street and I see people, 100 tents by the river, people sleeping there. And it's because of something's wrong. Something really has got to be addressed by the government, I suppose. I don't know how else they can do it. But you can't have this many people being homeless. It's not. Look at a lot of these people fell through the crack.
What they want.
Yeah, a lot of them.
What they want, Rick.
Well, a lot of them do, but there's a lot of them, Pixie, that
they want it to collapse.
You're talking about the government. You're talking about the
world.
Yeah, well, something. Well, it might be part of the new. That's a story for Jimmy Bell. I see he's on here. Jimmy, if you want to come in and talk about now, Pixie says that we're going to have this. What did you call it? What was that term he used?
Techno-feudalism.
Feudalism. Okay. So, Jimmy, if you're out there, you want to come on. Do you know anything about this? What Pixie's talking about? That.
Now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a sign question.
Yeah.
Are there any mom and pop diners still in business, or are they all big chain restaurants?
Well, I was in a place today that I did some work for. It's a Brazilian restaurant. It's like a little diner, and I had a nice cheeseburger there today.
That's delicious.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I was in Wendy's the other day. I could hardly even eat the food. Truth, I didn't like it. And I went to this place today. He bought some signs last week from me, and so I said, "Geez, I'm there today. I'll stop and have lunch there." And so, geez, he gave me a big hamburger. I couldn't believe it, with a big side of French fries. It was $13. But you know something? You'll spend $10 for a meal in McDonald's. You will. And but he, he's struggling along. He's trying to make it. But there's diners up here, Pixie. Yeah, you like diners?
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good because I like a good diner.
Well, when you come to Massachusetts, you come up to plenty of diners up here. Yes, Mike.
Yeah, I wanted to comment. Cloward and Piven, they were two Columbia professors, and their idea was to overlap the system, overwhelm the system so bad that it would totally collapse, and it would drift into a one world government. I think Jimmy Bell talks about that all the time. And if you check your email, I sent you a video how that could that happened in a small town right here in Columbus, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. And it's that video I sent you. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked when you read it or when you see it. So.
Yeah, I see it in there, Mike, and I wanted to even watch it this week. I did not even have 5 minutes to watch. I'm serious. I've been moving. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I was moving my business and my house at the same time. I have been just frantic here, just trying to get everything ready. So, but I got it on my bucket list. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I even said that in my email that I know you're busy.
Yeah.
But here in this town, this was Lex Wexner. That's one of the richest. Got Victoria's Secret and Limited, and what he did to this town is unbelievable. And you'll just shake your head when you watch that video.
No, I saw the title. It caught my attention. I'll check it out. By next week, I should have an answer for you. Thank you for sending it. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, we'll see you.
Good, thank you. Well, anyways, I wanted to bring this up because I got thinking about it. You know, these Ring doorbell cameras and the blink and all of that. Well, I got some of that, and I'm thinking this has got to make it really hard for the Jehovah's Witnesses. How many times did all of us go to a door and say, gee, I hope nobody answers? Now, I think about every person listening to this program. There was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, went to a door, and they knocked very lightly, hoping nobody would answer. I mean, if we really had the real truth, if we really thought that we had this earth-shattering message of God's kingdom, we should have been pounding the door down. But many witnesses, I hope nobody answers. Well, I'm wondering, geez, with these doorbells now, they really can't get away with that, because if they just walk up to the door, the person is alerted. Now, the person might not even be home, but the person who owns the home is alerted even where they work, and they can speak right through the speaker. So if a Jehovah's Witness comes up to the door and just lightly knocks, yes, can I help you? We're Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, they are. I can't see where the door-to-door ministry is gonna keep moving forward. That's gonna really put the clamper on that, because people won't like it. It's gonna be hard already. So just a few thoughts I've been thinking of. I also got a lot of people writing me in the last few months on how they still fear Armageddon. Now, that is odd. Even though people have left the Watchtower, they still have this fear that Armageddon's going to come, and it's going to make them, very nervous, anxious, and some people even having panic attacks over the whole thing. I mean, really, the Jehovah's Witnesses embedded in our minds this Armageddon frightened us all to death, even as young kids with the books, gave the kids nightmares. And, you grow up with this, that, if you're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're going to be killed. God's going to kill you with Armageddon. You get that drummed into you from even an early age. What do you think is going to happen? So when you leave the Watchtower, I know it even happened to me. When I said, that's it, I'm leaving, I've had enough. But then there was something in the back of my mind that kept saying to me, geez, Rick, what if it's the truth? You're leaving the truth. But I'm saying, no, I just don't like it anymore. I got to leave. And then you start thinking, well, gee, will I die at Armageddon? I mean, that is all so blown up and out of proportion, but you get over it. You know, once you start doing your research and realizing that it's not even biblically really the truth, then you begin to understand that what a bunch of hokey pokey. And, you know, that's all embedded. They rented space in our mind. It was there for a while, but we evicted it all. It's out of there now. So if you have that feeling, don't worry. It will disappear. So just a few thoughts on that. There's probably many listening in tonight that really have that feeling. And then I also came across another thought that I was thinking about. You know, we talk about how people are shunned and how people have committed suicide because of being shunned. And I mean, that has been an ongoing thing here for years. And I don't know how many people have come on the 6 screens and even talked about their relatives doing that. But the reason why I bring it up is I'm wondering, how many people actually landed up in jail because they were shunned. They didn't commit suicide, but they landed up in jail because they were shunned. Life became so turbulent and so disruptive that they did foolish things. And that's what shunning could do to a person. See, the Watchtower, they've caused a lot of problems in people's lives. I mean, I've had people come on here that were strippers. They left the Watchtower, they became strippers. People became drug addicts. But I'm wondering how many people actually landed up in jail because they were shunned. Well, nobody loves me anyways. I don't really care anymore. I'll do whatever I want. So that thought crossed my mind too. We never talked about that on the 6 screens, but I bet you there's a lot of people out there that have been shunned and have landed up in jail. Well, what I'm going to do here, maybe we'll go to the duck questions tonight. We want to give away some prizes. I sent $100 out this week to Nadine. I don't know if she's listening here tonight or not, but if you'd like to play the duck game, go ahead and call into the program. You see it right there. It's on the YouTube and Facebook channel. What we do is we call it the duck game. It started out by secret words. If a person during the conversation that we have here online, if they mention a secret word that I have in an envelope, they would win a prize. Then we kind of get into Watchtower trivia. So we still call it the duck game. So we have some questions tonight, and you can win some books. I was showing the people earlier, you can win this book right here. If you get 5 points, you can win this book right here. A Bible for the Scientist. That's by Amberg. He was the secretary, as we said earlier, for Charles Taze Russell. You could win that book. We have some other books, the Millions Now Living book. We got a number of books, and if you want a book, you can win tonight. Get 5 points. When you get 5 points, you can win a book. Now, what we usually do is you get 1 point, but I want you to go on the honor system. Keep score. I can't keep score for you, but be honest with me. Every time you win, keep a point on it. And when you get 5 points, you can get a book. When you get 12 points, you can get $100 in cash. Okay. So why don't we go to the duck game? Let me take a sip of seltzer water here. Let's go to the duck game. Now, what you do is, if you're listening in, you want to play the game. So many people calling at once. What I want you to do is I want you to take and pick a number at random, 1 to 100, and pick that number and stay with it. Number 11, number 7, so I can hear who was first, and then I can call on you. So what we do is we play the music from Jeopardy, and when the music stops, you answer the question, but you have to keep score on your own. So let's do this. Let's start right off by doing this. Okay, here's the question, but don't answer till the music stops. The category here that we're going to have tonight is disfellowshipped, reproved, and considered weak. Now, these are actually events. These are actually things that have taken place in the Watchtower. So which of the 2 following items could you be disfellowshipped for? I'm going to read you 3. I want you to give me 2 that you could be disfellowshipped for. These are the items. You tell me if it's which ones you could be disfellowshipped for. For strong cologne, no vehicle inspection sticker, or shaving your head. Which two of those could you be disfellowshipped for? Let's play the music. Hold on 1 second. Okay. One. What would it be, Zach?
I say none of them.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. No, these are actual things that people were disfellowshipped for.
Okay, wait. Let me say this. You're going to say the inspection sticker, but that's an iffy thing. But none of them, they're not in the book.
Well, they were brought up evidently in a judicial hearing. Now, it could have been something else, but they did bring it up. So what would you say? I'll read them again. Could you be disfellowshipped for strong cologne, no vehicle inspection sticker, or shaving your head? Two of those you could be disfellowshipped for. Which two, Zach?
I still say none of them. Let me tell you what happens if the society gets something that's not a disfellowshipping offense. They'll send back to that committee and say, there's no offense here.
Right, but
and they will say you can't disfellowship for this reason.
Right, but in this particular case, they were. Now, maybe there's some other. I mean, these are people who've called into 6 screens. Maybe they would just fellowship for something else. But let's just go with what I have here.
Let someone else answer.
Okay.
Let someone else answer.
Okay, someone else want to answer. Which of the two following items could you be disfellowshipped for? No vehicle inspection sticker and shaving your head. Yes. All right. All right, Zach, you still there with us? Let's go to the next one. Don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it sounds weird.
The only thing that could come close would be having, you said no vehicle inspection sticker, but I would say more like having dysfunctional brakes on your car because it's a lack of concern about human life, is what they would say.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there were other issues. Maybe this guy that was disfellowship for not having an inspection sticker, maybe he was involved in an accident where somebody got hurt badly or killed. So
Yes, then there you have the need that extra stuff.
And
shaving your head, I've seen too many bald people, people who shave their heads bald because they're losing their hair, and so they just shave their hair, their whole head for uniformity. I've seen all that, and nobody gets.
Well, but if you shaved your head, wouldn't that be an act of rebellion? I mean, if you had a full head of hair, and you said, "I'm just going to go to the barber, cut my hair all off, shave it," I mean, it's kind of like an act of rebellion. It'd be like having a long.
In honesty, I do feel that you're making it up now.
No,
it is funny, but no dice. No, you tell me which page of the Pay Attention or the plot book or the Elder Manual that they discussed that on.
Page 61.
And if you go
page 61.
Wrong. I know that's not it, because in the plot book, everything on this fellowshipping was Unit 5A, 5B, and 5C, and it came after page 61.
All right. Well, I'm just going.
And I have a protest from last week, Rick. You said the elder arrangement did not start in 1972. Someone gave that as an answer. If you meant when was it installed, it wasn't. Why did you say it was 1971? Because that's when the book came out?
Well, it was a Watchtower article that talked about it and said that they'd be instituting it in 72. They talked a little bit about it. I think
right.
it. Yeah.
72. and someone gave that as the answer, and you said no. And then when 71 was given as the answer, you said okay.
Did I? Well, I'll retract that.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone lost the prize, I'll be glad to give it to him, Zach. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't said it. A brother said it.
All right.
Said 71. But it was interesting because I think the announcement came out at the 1971 assembly, which would be July and August. And it would be too soon to institute it in September, which would be less than half a month for some people.
Right. You're right. Well, okay. So I'll stand corrected on that. But it was in that area. But they did announce it in 71. And I'll have to go back. Well, I don't have time to go back and listen to it, but I'll go with, if you said it, I said it, and I'll be glad to help the person who might have been cheated. Okay. So, anyways, let's go with another question here. Well, let's get off this fellowshipping. Let's go to being weak. Being weak. Now, you could be considered weak for the following 2 items. 1. Eating fried chicken at a circuit assembly for lunch, reading outdated Watchtower literature, or wearing brown mascara. Which 2 of those items could you be considered weak for? Well, a little jabby music there, but what could you be considered weak for? I guess you're still with us. What we seem to do, where we come on later now, we seem to lose our audience for the game. But go ahead, Zach. You want to take a shot at it?
Okay, this is a guess. Everything's in flux, but for eating fried chicken at a circuit assembly, if they have provided stuff for you to buy the circuit assembly. And also, whatever that second one was, I forget now.
Reading. Well, actually, reading outdated Watchtower literature. Now, the reason this was brought up with chicken, there was an announcement. Remember when we went from the assemblies serving food to now you bring your own lunch. So they would say, don't bring something that's greasy and makes a mess because you're eating in your seats. So in other words, a person who would bring fried chicken and eat it in the assembly, that they would, because didn't you pay attention to the Watchtower? So they consider you weak. They would,
Okay. So am I right? I said 1 and 2.
Yeah, and then you got 2.
The point.
No, two was reading outdated Watchtower. Reading outdated Watchtower literature. If you walked around with a green Bible today, would you be considered a strong witness? No.
No, we had an elder do that. He kept using his green Bible, even though the black one was out or whatever color it was. And another elder talked about him still having his green Bible.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are things that would be true. But the one about wearing brown mascara, I mean, women could do that. That's not a problem. Yeah. So, we'll go.
I get a point, right?
You get a point. Now, I'm going to bring up another one.
Well, about that chicken thing, they didn't specify chicken itself. They just said greasy stuff, right?
Well, I think the assembly I was at, I think they did mention chicken, fried chicken. I mean, you're not going to walk out and get a bucket of Colonel Sanders and bring it in there. It's going to get all over the place, greasy hands all over the seats. The kids make a mess, So, all right, let's go. We'll go one more here. I was going to do a myth, but I'll save that for next week. Let's see. Okay. Let me see what we got here. We got. Let me turn to the next page. Maybe I will go to that myth. You seem to be pretty astute tonight, Zachary. I think some other people listening in as well. So let's go to this myth. I find this myth somewhat fascinating. Let me just get the right one here. And it has to do, we always hear these myths in the Jehovah's Witness religion, urban myths. And they were made up. But they sound rather crazy. But I came across some myths here that actually was stated in the Watchtower at assemblies, or maybe just passed around by people that you would have heard. And let me just find the one that I want here. Let me just hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Just give me a second. Yeah, we got a whole lot of them here. I didn't realize it. Boy, I'll tell you what. No, I had one here I really wanted to share with you guys tonight. And these were passed around. We all heard these myths, right, when we were Jehovah's Witnesses. All right, here's one here. I want you guys to answer this after the music stops. Now, I'm going to give 2 points for this. And I just want you to answer whether it's true or false, okay? So anyways, here is an urban myth. Maybe you heard it. I've heard it. So a Jehovah's Witness missionary was sent to Australia to reach the farmers that live in the bush. While on the train, he was discussing the truth with a train passenger and gave them a tract. The passenger took it, but threw it out the window. It landed in the pocket of a kangaroo's pouch. The kangaroo was killed by the local tribe of Aborigines who found the tract, and all became special pioneers. Is that true or false? Don't answer till the music stops.
One.
Hold on.
Oh,
Is it true? Is it true or false? No. True or false, Jack?
one. That has to be false. Yeah, I think you gave that one about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did I really? Did I?
That music.
The music,
but
it's an oddball Jeopardy tonight, yeah.
I think that jazzy music will get you disfellowship too.
Well, that probably could, but no, that
It will, but
No,
you have
no.
to have fried chicken, brown mascara, and a car that doesn't work.
well, we'll have some better. We'll have some non-controversial questions next week. Next week we'll do it. Take.
So was it false? Was I right?
It was false, yes. But the story was passed around. Is it that actually was it? That actually was a story. Really, that actually was a story. An urban myth. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that should probably wrap it up. Yeah. Well, thank you, Zach. Thank you for being a good sport. All right. Well, anyways, that should wrap it up for tonight. We will not have any programs coming on later tonight, but we'll do that next week. We've got Eric coming back with us, so we're looking forward to that. But I want to thank everyone for coming into the Six Screens programming tonight. And we really do appreciate those calling in, those chatting in YouTube and Facebook. We want to thank you for that. There'll be no Six Screens Sunday tomorrow, but we'll be back next Saturday night on a new studio. And we really appreciate the effort that all of you do to even call in. I know sometimes it's hard. We had some new ones calling in on the earlier programs today. It's very difficult to call in for the first time because you think, oh, what if the elders hear me? What if my brother hears me? Well, they shouldn't be listening either. So anyways, I want to thank everyone for being part of the Six Screens. We'll be back next Saturday night. And listen, keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Thank you very much.